I have a sneaky little feeling that no one will be talking about this show, but I'm already so impressed by the first two episodes, so I need to blab about it. First point is it's fucking gorgeous. It's beautiful. Like, I remember the funeral scene from the first episode and I was thinking, why is it so beautiful? Why is it so beautiful? And I mean, I'm sure the way they filmed it and edited it and the shots and the cinematography and all of that, like, has meaning to the culture and whatever historical representation they are trying to portray, because I read that it's supposed to be very, very accurate to whatever information they have from that period. So I was immediately impressed by how beautiful it is, like how stunning it is, and impressed by the fact that it's not in English. This was the point that really sold me on the show, that made me really excited about it, because I didn't know anything about it. I just learned that it existed a few days ago, like a week ago. So I was very impressed. And I didn't read anything about how it was going to be. I knew that it was Jason Momoa was like involved in it, but I didn't know that they were, making a really big effort of making it authentic. And it makes sense that it's not in English, and I appreciate it so very much. This is the thing that completely sold me on the show, was clicking on play and realizing that the whole thing would be actual Hawaiian, right? Polynesian language. I'm so sorry if I'm being offensive. I think it's called Hawaiian language. Like, I searched it, but in different places they refer to either Hawaiian or Polynesian, and I don't know which one it is. But the native language, because I mean, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, is when a story takes place in a country or in a time that doesn't speak English, and then they portray it with English accents just to be like easy to understand. Like, we can read, okay? We can read. I read subtitles so many times. I'm the kind of person that doesn't watch anything with subtitles unless it's foreign. And even with some foreign stuff, I don't always, like, if it's Spanish, I don't put subtitles. Actually, I didn't completely understand everything that was said in the movie, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I didn't understand everything. But anyway, that's beside the point. My point is, I'm really enjoying this show, and I was very confused. I was very, very confused for a while, because I just don't know anything about the history of Hawaii, apart from the fact that at this point in time is a state in the US. So yeah, I was a little confused in the beginning, so I started reading Wikipedia pages, and it didn't really help that much, to be honest. This is the gist of what I understood. Kayana was born in the Kingdom of Hawaii, but then he fought for the Kingdom of Maui, and some of these battles were in Oahu. So sorry that I'm pronouncing these names so atrociously. Some of the battles were in Oahu, but then he was dissatisfied with the way that the king of Maui was conducting his business, because as we see in the TV show, he is brutal, cruel. Like, he literally manipulated Kayana to, like, be his chief of war to go take Oahu, knowing very well that no one was preparing a battle on his kingdom. Cruel. I mean, very smart and strategic, but cruel. Like, the way, I don't want to talk, the way that those weapons, I've never really seen weapons like that before. The little things like that have, like, tooth. I'm assuming it's shark teeth. Like, when I was watching the battle scene in the first episode, when they're taking Oahu, I was like, I can't take, like, I used to be a person who could endure any type of violence. Like, you showed me like, I watched Game of Thrones. I started watching Game of Thrones when I was 16. Okay, I could endure any type of violence, but that's when I was young, and violence to me was, in a way, kind of abstract. Growing up and now being faced with very real violence every single freaking day in our very real world, I can't take it anymore. Like, you show it to me in TV shows and I'm like, stop it, please. Why? I'm trying to escape the world. Why do I have to come here and see more blood? Why? Like, one thing that hit me really hard this year was Squid Game, because there was that huge battle scene in season 2. In season 2, there was this huge battle scene with a lot of shotguns, and machine guns and whatever the hell that was. And it was always, it kept going. It was like a whole episode. It kept going and going. I could not take it. I could not take it. And with Chief of War, it's kind of like that. Anytime that they're fighting, and sometimes I'm even, because I can't take it. And those weapons, the little weapons with the little teeth, brutal, because they don't even go deep enough to take the person out. It's just superficial, and then they have to bleed to death. Brutal. But yeah, I was talking about the history of Kayana. Kayana is the main character portrayed by Jason Momoa. I'm assuming he is the Chief of War. I mean, he already played the Chief of War part for the King of Maui in taking Oahu. And this is what I was saying. Like, he was born in Hawaii, but then he fought for Maui and he helped the Maui King take Oahu. And then he deserted to Kauai and was called back. Like, this is what we see. This is how we start the show, is with Kayana being called back from Kauai and being literally forced to be the Chief of War for the King of Maui to retake Oahu. And it was really, really cruel. I don't know the whole history, but clearly all of these people have like history together. All of the royalty of these islands have history together and like marry each other and whatever for alliances and shit like that. Because when they take Oahu and Kayana is faced with who they call the young king, is like a boy, and the king of Maui is like, yeah, take him out. And he takes him out in front of Kayana, and the young king of Oahu is like, why are you doing this to me? Like, you are like a father to me. Why? Like, I aspire to be like you. That was brutal. And the fact that they just plunge us into the action, into all the shenanigans that are happening, and explain absolutely fuck all to us. Beautiful. I love a story that just like plucks you in and you have to figure your shit out. It makes you pay so much more attention. It makes you be so much more engaged in the story, because you have to keep watching and you have to watch every little detail to understand what's happening. Beautiful. I appreciate a TV show that doesn't treat its audience like idiots, that tells them the story and counts on them to eventually figure it out. Love it. And I mean, I do figure it out a little bit, because I just explained more or less the story. From what I read, they had to like crunch down a series of events that happened over the course of like 20 years into a very shorter time frame. So that must have been challenging. But I mean, I think it would make it also easier for us to understand, because if it's over like 20 years, then people's faces would change and there's so many names already. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I have not remembered everyone's names, but I know everyone's kind of relation to one another. And the main party that we follow is the Kayana party. It's Kayana, I think it's two brothers, because I read in Wikipedia that he had two main brothers that he went to war with. Not to war. They went to war together. They fought side by side. And it's also Kayana's wife, I think, which is the lady that we see with him, and Kayana's wife's sister, which is the younger girl we see with them. It's like they are this party of 5, and they desert to Kauai together, and then when Kayana is called to the Maui King to invade Oahu, they all come with him as well. So they are like a group together. And at the end of the second episode, we see another member being introduced into the story and into the group. And her name, I'm so sorry, I already have a hard time remembering names that I'm accustomed to. Names that I'm not used to, I'm not going to remember half of them. Like, the amount of times I had to pronounce the name Kayana, and I'm pronouncing it so wrong. I know it's wrong, and I tried to pronounce it correctly, and it just doesn't come out. I think correctly would be Kaiana. I'm not even going to try, because I'm just going to butcher it. But a new person is introduced in episode 2, and she is like a secret princess, like a secret royal. She is descendant from a royal person from the kingdom of Hawaii, but her mother is royalty in the kingdom of Maui. So she was born in secret in a cave, and she lived all her life, I think, in Maui in secret, being guarded by her uncle. And now that shenanigans are happening, because the kingdom of Maui, by invading Oahu, started a goddamn war, and everyone is like in alert. So the kingdom I think her father from Hawaii, from the kingdom of Hawaii, comes to Maui and is like, girl, I know you lived your whole life in a cave. You gotta return because we're gonna marry you to the chief of war in Hawaii, for relations. So that's where we are. This girl that is going to be married to the chief of war in Hawaii meets Kayana when Kayana is like escaping the Maui dudes because Kayana deserted again after his betrayal in Oahu, and they are hunting him. Literally, like cattle, hunting him. And he meets her in the cave, they form an alliance, and she takes like his necklace because they're still hunting him, right? So she takes his necklace as proof that she met him, and she brings his message to his family, his two brothers, his wife, and his wife's sister. And the message is like, you gotta go. You gotta leave. Like, there's this Hawaiian royalty girl that was born in a cave and is going to go back to Hawaii. You have safe passage. Go and stay there. So his family is going to hide in Hawaii as the conflict is rising in the other islands, provoked by the king of Maui. And he escapes the Maui soldiers that are after him by literally jumping off of a cliff, like into the ocean, and is rescued by the English people that are there. So this is a moment in time in like history, in Hawaiian history, where the English are already arriving on the islands, and we hear about a conflict that happened 10, 15, 20 years prior, where the kingdoms of, it's not just Hawaii, it's like, it used to be called Polynesia, no? All those kingdoms, all those islands, they fought off the pale skins that came to invade them, I guess. But now they've returned. But the encounter that we see with the English guys is kind of conflictless. They weren't really trying to cause problems. They were trying to get food and wherever. I don't know the history about this, but maybe they were like a recon mission or something. But they are the ones who rescue Kayana when he jumps from the cliff into the ocean. And it's kind of implied that they are not going back to any of the islands, that they're going to sail to goddamn England and take him with them. So potentially this chief of war is going to go to England and everyone is going to think he's dead. Because, I mean, they will search for his body, but they're not going to find the body or him. So potentially they'll think he's dead. Anyway, that's the story. I didn't want to break it down, and then I broke it down. Another really great aspect is the way that they're like portraying the gods and the prophecy and their like divinities or priestess. We see one priestess, one like religious figure that just mysteriously appears to people to guide them and give them counsel. And she's the one who talks to this royal born in a cave that will be marrying the chief of war in Hawaii. She talks to her. She also talks to Kayana, and she gives kind of like cryptic messages, very priestess-like, very cryptic messages about their future and their like moral conundrum that they are facing and whatever. It's one of the most interesting characters because it's never really explained whether she's human or not, but it's kind of assumed she is human. Like when we see her, we see a human woman, but then we also see her in places where it kind of hints towards the idea that she isn't human and that she appears and disappears wherever she wants to go. But it could also be an hallucination. We don't know. I'm so sorry that I'm giving you a very ignorant read of this show. I just want to talk to you about how much I like it. And I mean, of course, over the course of watching it, I will be like reading a lot more about it because there's no way you can understand everything without reading like previous history of what actually happened. So I will become more informed over time as I watch it. But the religious ideas are so goddamn interesting because one of the aspects that we see about this because there's this prophecy of the winged cape and the red eye. I don't remember. It's something like that. Like it's this warrior that is going to rise up and unite all of the kingdoms. And it's funny because this is a very treasured prophecy. Like people will do a lot for this prophecy or in the name of this prophecy. You know, it's very important to them. It's like their Messiah one day is going to show up and unite them all because spend their whole lives either afraid of wars or fighting wars between each other. So this person that will show up eventually is very important because it will mean the unification of the kingdoms and peace in the land. So the majority of the portrayal that we see about this prophecy and people taking actions towards this prophecy is very positive, very wholesome, very fighting for peace. But then the cursed king of Maui, the guy that tricks Kayana to join his army to be his chief of war again, to invade Oahu, even though Oahu did nothing to provoke an invasion. This king is using the prophecy to his advantage. He's basically being like, we don't know when this prophet is going to come. We don't know when this Messiah is going to come. For all we know, it could be me. For all we know, it could be me. And I could be, I'm gonna do what he's supposed to do to unite everyone through fear and violence and war. So even though this is an old culture, even though this is an ancient society, I mean, not that ancient, it's from the 19th century, but even though this was a society that existed completely like outside of the Western world or the Eastern world, it existed completely outside of everything else because they didn't leave those islands. Even though it was isolated like that, it still had the same pitfalls for religion, which is a powerful, power hungry leader that wants even more power, wants to dominate the people around him, abuse this religion, abuse this faith that they have about the prophecy for his own gain, and manipulated everyone around him. Oh, why are we doing this? For the prophecy. And because people are generally good and generally believe in the prophecy and generally would want to fight for it because they are fighting for peace, technically, they will do a lot in the name of this prophecy, and they will do a lot for this brutal, cruel man in the name of this prophecy. And this whole idea is so exploration of the prophecy and how it is, misused and manipulated by a greedy man. Beautiful. And I'm assuming they're keeping it as accurate as they can. So even though maybe things didn't happen exactly as they are showing them, I'm assuming that this aspect, this idea of a corrupt leader abusing the very positive faith that people have, I'm assuming this actually happened because it did. It's just, it's so interesting because where else has it happened? Everywhere. And it's just so cool to see that even in an isolated society, people still develop beliefs. People still need to believe in something greater than themselves to live their lives. And even in an isolated society, fuckheads like him will still abuse those very pure beliefs. I don't have anything else to say, turns out. So you can find me here next week to review it again. I think I will do weekly reviews for this show, so find me here. There will be no theory videos, no preview analysis videos. This is just me enjoying a show that isn't in English. Even though now some characters have been introduced in English. But I don't know, maybe Kayana will learn English, but whenever he returns to the islands, he's still gonna speak Hawaiian, Polynesian, so I can't tell you how much I appreciated that choice. It would have been so if they did it in English. Very happy about that. And also, I've never heard that much Hawaiian spoken anywhere apart from the show. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you actually probably tomorrow. Bye.